Ladies and gentlemen, let's go over how to set up the Geofilter on the NetDuma R3. The first thing you need to do is go ahead and log into your R3, and then we're going to head over to the Geofilter page. The Geofilter is a tool that helps you connect to the best servers or peers / other people for your favorite online games. The thing with it is, it does take a little bit of legwork on your end to figure out what's actually best for your connection. The ping heat map is a great tool that can help you in general figure out what your ping is to certain things worldwide, and also give you an idea of how to set up the Geofilter. But the ping heat map is not perfect. My suggestion is, when you first start playing a game, go ahead and let it do its thing. Watch what servers it connects to by coming over here on your side panel and keeping an eye on your ping and server location. That way, you have an idea of what the game is trying to do without you interfering with it. Some games will connect you to the best possible servers or peers, while others will not. And you will figure out what works best for you within a little bit of time. If you play a game a lot, it'll take a few days of kind of looking at things, and then you'll be able to set up your Geofilter appropriately for your connection. I'm going to give you all the basic steps so that hopefully when you set up your Geofilter, you just have a good time. Again though, this may take a little bit of legwork on your end. It's something to be expected, although a bit annoying because I understand that you just want to hop in and game and not worry about stuff. But once you learn how to use the Geofilter, it is an unstoppable tool in your gaming arsenal. So, the very first thing we need to do is go ahead and add the devices we're gaming on to the Geofilter. And you can see that I've already done this. I've connected my Xbox Series X and Nintendo Switch. But we will go ahead and go through this process. So I'm going to remove my Series X. And let's re-add it. So to add a new device to the Geofilter is incredibly simple. You come over here to your Gaming Devices tab, and you click Add Device. Now we're going to scroll through all devices on the network until we find the device we're gaming on. I'm gaming on an Xbox Series X, so we're going to give that a click. Then we're going to click Finish. That's it. It's already been added to the Geofilter. Everything is good to go when it comes to that part. So, your Xbox Series X, your Nintendo Switch, your gaming consoles are incredibly easy like that. There's no other adjustments or menus you need to go into. However, if you're a PC gamer, this is a bit different. I must asterisk here that I'm not a PC gamer. I gave up on that 20 years ago, and I moved strictly to consoles. Don't get me wrong, if there's a really awesome game on PC and somebody else has it, I might check it out, but I'm not going to dive in. That's just not my thing. So my PC is this Area 51 R2. We'll click Next. And now we actually have a games list for all games that are supported on PC by NetDuma. We're going to go ahead and stick with probably the most popular stuff that's out there. Let's use Call of Duty. There we go, Call of Duty series. And then we'll click Finish. And now our PC has been added. But it will only work with Call of Duty. Keep that in mind. Each individual game needs to be switched off when you're switching games. Kind of annoying, but hey, that's the way it works on PC. Another reason that I just prefer console. Things are easier there. No updates, etc. It's easier. Anyway, all that said, now we've got our devices added to the Geofilter. In the case of the Xbox Series X, it's already started filtering. The next thing we need to look at is our ping heat map. Now, I've already done a deep dive ping heat map video, but real quick, let's go ahead and choose a game. We're going to choose Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. This is going to ping every available server worldwide for Call of Duty. You can see my best server is actually in Chicago. I live in Colorado. Technically, you look at the distance there, and you think to yourself, that's pretty far away, shouldn't be my best server. That's not always the way things work. You would think the closest server to you should always be the best and lowest ping, most stable server. However, the internet is a mess. And sometimes the internet backbone of your ISP sends your connection off elsewhere that they feel is faster and better. And that's just how their stuff works. So you can see again, I'm in Colorado, which is right here in the United States. And my best server is way over here in Chicago at 34 milliseconds. So that's really far away, but it's my best server. When you would think the closer server, the 59 millisecond here in Utah, because I'm really close to Utah, would actually be the 34 milliseconds. So again, it takes some time. You're gonna have to use your ping heat map and also knowledge of the game. And what I mean by knowledge of the game, let's take Texas, for example. When I'm playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 online, my ping in-game is nowhere close to what this Texas server here says it is. So it says it's 68. I actually sit about 45, which is really good for my particular connection. Depending on your location in the world and a lot of other factors, your ping to your favorite game can be higher or lower. The whole point of everything in all of the NetDuma R3 systems is to keep your ping as low as possible for your connection. So my ping, the lowest I can get, is about 34 milliseconds. It's not great, it's not terrible. Where it starts getting kind of bad is where you see these yellow dots in the higher 60s and stuff. This is why I say, though, go ahead and play the game and see what the game does, because from my own knowledge of playing Call of Duty without using the Geofilter and having it on, I know that this Texas server is actually okay. Even though the ping in the Utah server is 59 milliseconds, and that is correct, and it's closer to me, this server stinks. These are all things that you're going to have to learn while you're using the Geofilter. And this is why I say it becomes a little bit tedious, but once you figured it all out, your gaming experience will change. Now, what's great about the ping heat map is you can also just kind of quickly glance at what ping might be for other games across the world, whether it be, a Dota, a Fortnite, whatever. And some of those games are here on the list of the ping heat map for you to ping. If the game isn't here, you can say, well, if I'm just looking at a, Call of Duty, I can understand that this area might be the best for me to have a circle or a polygon set in my Geofilter so that I have the best gaming experience for other games as well. And you can come through here and use the ping heat map and really dive in, but it gives you an idea of what ping might be around the world and see how high and low it goes, which is really nice. Very nice tool to have when you're using the Geofilter. All right, so we have the knowledge of what the best servers are for the game we want to play. So we need to come back to the Geofilter now. All right, so we have two different geofiltering modes that we can use. You can choose those modes in the bottom left panel of the Geofilter here. Our first mode is simple mode. This is a circle with a overall filter size that you can adjust. This is great. Some games work really well with it, and you can set this wherever you want. My suggestion is that you set it at your actual physical location. And to do that, it's pretty easy. You can click this little home tab in the bottom right hand corner, and it's going to say, hey, that's my home, right? But if we click this use my home location button, it'll make it a bit more accurate. So you see it pop me over to where I'm actually located here in Colorado. Or if you want to get in even deeper, you can use the search button and search for a location and start typing stuff in, which I don't want you guys to know exactly where I live, so I'm not going to do that. But it is a great tool. So you have a couple tools here. You can use the use my location tab, or you can go even deeper by changing the location here. The circle is great. It helps you with a lot of different games. And if your ISP is not terrible like mine, and the servers that are actually closest to you are your best servers, then circle mode is a good way to go. Your simple circle mode should work out fine. However, in my opinion, it's way better to use the custom polygon mode, where you can use this little crayon or pencil in the bottom right hand corner and actually draw your own shape. And you can see I've done that here. And to draw a shape, you click the pencil, and we're just going to draw a random one. You start a dot, and you click another dot, and then another, and then another, and you can make this however you want. Look, I made a little house. And then you just close it off. Oh, or you can accidentally double click a dot and mess it up. So you gotta be careful of that. If you double click a dot, you'll mess it up. So if we come back, just draw a simpler shape, close it off, done. So just be aware that if you double click a dot, it can mess things up. And then if you're like, oh, I actually found another server I want to try, you can go in and actually adjust this. It's really easy to use. If you don't want it anymore, you can just delete it. Yep. Goodbye. So, I play a lot of different stuff online, but my most played game has always been Call of Duty. I'm a Call of Duty guy. I like CODs. They've had their ups and their downs over the years, but generally speaking, I play a lot of it. So, I have my Xbox Series X set up for Call of Duty using this polygon mode here. So when we first started the process, we added my Xbox Series X to the Geofilter. You can see it's currently inactive. I'm sitting on the Xbox Series X dashboard, but I'm not doing anything else. It will occasionally say waiting for host because it is looking for you to start a game, see what's going on your connection. So let's go ahead and do that. The whole point of the filter is to filter your games. Now, when you first add your console, it's going to go ahead and activate your filter. You can see that filtering is enabled. And this is fine. This works out great. You don't have to change this. Now, some games don't like filtering, and it's going to be a game by game basis. But for the most part, games are fine with filtering on. Or you can run into an issue is if you have your simple circle mode or your custom polygon mode set incorrectly. As I start to load into the main menu of Call of Duty, it is going to ping all of the servers that are available to me. When you have your filtering on, depending on how you have everything set up, we will deep dive a little bit more into the advanced settings in a moment. It's going to make sure that everything outside of the shape that you've drawn and or the circle that you have is blocked, and everything inside you connect to. So this is happening right now. You can see these are my servers. I have some here in Oklahoma, Texas, and Chicago. I'm blocking Washington, California, Utah, Georgia, whatever that is over there, New York or something. All right, so I'm loading in to the game itself. Right now, the main multiplayer menu of Team Deathmatch. That's what I like to play. So I'm sitting on the multiplayer menu. It's now pinged all the available servers and it says, these are the ones I can connect to. These are the ones I don't want to connect to. One of the biggest problems I've seen over the years is somebody will set their connection to just, let's say, Chicago, for example, because those are the lowest ping servers to me, as we saw using the ping heat map. Also, I have the in-game knowledge of playing and looking at my geofilter while I'm playing and seeing that, hey, Chicago's ping is really low while I'm playing in game. Something to mention here that people seem to be very confused on and I want to clear up. Depending on the game, sometimes you will load into the game and look at the in-game ping and it appears a bit higher than what the geofilter says the in-game ping is. This is due to back-end processing that the game has that dumaos doesn't always pick up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's on a game-by-game basis. So if your ping on the geofilter is lower than the ping in-game, your geofilter is your real ping, and then the game in-game ping is your in-game ping plus processing that they have on their end. So if there's a mismatch there, don't worry about it. Always use your geofilter over the in-game ping. You can mix and match both though. Again, it's one of those things you got to kind of keep your eye on to figure out what works best for your favorite game on your connection. The easiest way to do this is to pull out your phone and go ahead and just open up the dumaos geofilter on your phone. You can do this just on your favorite web browser that you use. This is my recommended way of checking your geofilter while you're playing. It's very simple. I keep my phone on my lap. I just open my web browser. I pull up the geofilter page. That way, when I'm playing, I can see the in-game ping that the geofilter says I have. There is also a dumaos app. The app is really great as well. However, development on that can lag behind a little bit, and so I prefer to just use the web browser. However, the app is stable. I tested it for a good couple months during beta, and then once the R3 was released, and everything's been pretty good for me. I did notice a couple things. I reported them. Those things do not happen on the web browser, so again, I'd lean more toward that. Now, there is the slight inconvenience of you have to keep your phone on you and kind of look at it every now and again while you're playing. But you'll get used to it. Just like anything, it's like adding paddles to your controller if you've never used paddles before, and you add them and you're like, oh, I actually really like these. I can do different movements and things in games, you know, those kind of things. It's all about a learning curve. I don't think there's much of one. Keeping your phone on your lap's pretty normal these days anyway, and you can still do everything else that you need to do. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and log into the game we want to play. For me, that's Modern Warfare 3. And as I do so, you'll notice that it is blocked everything outside of my shape. So things inside my shape are the servers I want to play on. Things outside have these little triangles. You'll notice that there's one that is appearing outside of my shape that is not a triangle. These are normally authentication servers. They authenticate you to the game that you're playing or the service that you're using, and they are whitelisted by NetDuma so that you don't try to log into something and it blocks you. If for some reason you have that problem, or you've noticed a server just doesn't seem to be in the right place, you can let NetDuma know and they will update their cloud service and fix it. So let's go ahead and completely load into Call of Duty here. And as I do so, it's going to take a look and say, okay, all these servers outside. Once again, he is blocked. He wants stuff in here. Now keep in mind, depending on how many people are on, time of day, how many servers you have chosen, how big your area is if you're using the simple circle, or even how big your area is for servers and stuff using a polygon. If you've only chosen 1 or 2 server sets, then it may take longer to get into game. So you can see I'm sitting here at the menu and saying, hey, I want to block all these things. I went in on the other ones. And if I were to quickly load in to my favorite game mode real fast, it's gonna do the same thing. So if I go play Team Deathmatch and I click start on it, it's gonna say, okay, how many servers are available? Okay, all of these are not available for some reason. These are the ones that are. And it's a little early, so it may take a minute or two to find a group of people to play with. Let's see how long it actually takes here in real time. And as it's doing so, it's still pinging all those servers to see what's blocked, what's not. So again, depending on time of day and stuff, this can take a while. And I have a pretty good set of things here. I've got Texas, I got Oklahoma, I've got Chicago, but I'm blocking a lot of other stuff. So again, it's taking a minute to, there we go. And there, it's gonna load in to the Chicago server, which is my best server, and block out everything else. Now I'm just gonna quickly leave this because, well, my screen's really far away and I don't wanna hurt the team. But it'll load in and you'll see it's gonna go ahead and ping the game. And if we look up top of the in-game ping, I know it's really small, try to zoom in on it. It says it's about 43, 44 milliseconds, where you see it's about 23, 24 here. Again, this is your actual in-game ping, and if the game has added server latency and things they want to show you on their end, you'll see a little bit more latency in-game for some games. That's why the in-game ping is higher. Let's back out of this so I don't hurt the team too much. And we're gonna go ahead and go over to just a private match, which I can show off basically the same stuff. So that's how the Geofilter works. When you're filtering out bad servers or bad players that you don't want to play with because they are either too far away or just not the best for your connection. So as we head on over to the private match section, we can go ahead and load up, and it's gonna do the exact same thing if we have our filtering on. It's gonna filter out all of those bad servers that we do not want, that are outside of our radius, and it's just gonna put us in one that's inside of our radius. So if I just start a match real quick, I'm not gonna set up bots or any of that stuff. It's gonna do the exact same thing. It's looking around, it's saying, okay, what servers are available? Well, the best one's Chicago. It's available. Let's just load you up into a Chicago server. And now we've loaded in. And again, you'll notice the in-game ping is a little bit higher than what it says on the Geofilter. The next thing we need to talk about is study ping. Study ping helps you in-game by adding a little bit of latency to your connection to absorb these spikes that can happen. So let's take a close look here at what's going on. We now have an in-game ping sitting at about 43 milliseconds. We've got the actual in-game ping shown here on the Geofilter sitting at about 26 milliseconds. The internet is an imperfect mess. Your connection is traveling, and when that's happening, you can get these little minute spikes. You see how it's fluctuating down here at this little bottom green bar. This light bar is fluctuating quite a lot right now. And you see when it spikes like that, we get a big mountain, and this top bar, it barely moved. We got just a hair. That is study ping. Study ping is this top bar here. It is doing everything it can based on how you have things set up to make sure it's absorbing these spikes and not doing that too much. You see how it did raise a little bit and then it did it again, but it's not terrible. Now, This is going to vary depending on the server that you're on, the time of day, how many people are on in your area, how many people are on in the server. There are so many factors because it's the internet and it's imperfect. What you're going to do with this information here on your study ping graph is if you still see spikes happening down here at this lower bar, hey, that's fine. That's going to happen. That's the internet doing its thing. If you occasionally see a spike raise this top bar, your steady ping bar, by too much, you see a big spike and you're like, what, should have soaked that in? That means your buffer bloat isn't completely adjusted properly. And I've been doing a whole bunch of testing. You can see my buffer bloat is currently not optimal because I did get a bit of a spike and it raised that steady ping a little bit. So that's where you use the other tools that you have in your arsenal, such as your ping optimizer, to go ahead and adjust that so that it absorbs these spikes. Now again, this is also server based and location based. Sometimes this particular Chicago server is steady. I mean, there's no spikes whatsoever. It is smooth as butter without having to make any adjustments. Other times I hop on and I actually need to adjust my ping optimizer a little bit by moving my download from 100% down to, 90% or 80% to help absorb the things that are going on. This will help with your connection, but it will not fix other people's connection. Keep that in mind. Other people can have trash internet and you can run into that while playing your favorite game. This just makes sure that one, you're connected to the best server for your game possible by using your Geofilter in general, whether it be Polygon or the simple circle. And then two, it's trying to stabilize that ping. Make sure those spikes do not happen. And if they do, they get absorbed by the steady ping mechanism. And what's great about steady ping is you can actually see what's going on with my delay. I have 8 milliseconds of applied delay on this particular connection right now. So it's adding 8 milliseconds in between here, this bottom graph bar and this top graph bar, to help absorb those spikes. Now, obviously, it's not perfect, as I need to go back into the ping optimizer section and do some adjustments. I'm not going to do that here live, and I do not suggest you do that in game. Back out of your game, turn off the game and the device you're gaming on. If it's PC, just back out of the game, exit, wait a couple of minutes, and then make your adjustments. Wait a couple minutes more and come back. If you're on console, you can just go to the dashboard of the console. If you're on Xbox, quit the game. I don't know exactly how it works on PlayStation. I don't know if it's got like a resume thing or anything. Quit the game there as well. Do your adjustments on your ping optimizer by adjusting your download and upload, lowering those a little bit, figuring out your sweet spot. Come back into the game, and you can always test again. That's why I like private matches, is you can really load into a private match on what should be your best server. Now again, it's the internet, but what should be your best server. And then you make these adjustments, back out, make the adjustments, figure out what's best for you. Now we understand all the basics of the Geofilter. Let's dip into the more advanced stuff. The very first thing I want to mention is if you look right next to our host name here, it says Host Chicago. We have a check mark and an X mark. This is allow and deny. So let's say you're playing a game and you happen to get onto a server set and it's just having a really bad day and it keeps connecting you to it. Well, you don't want to come back over here and adjust your polygon or your circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to deny that server. And then when the game is finished, if you're in game, when the game is finished, the next time, if it tries to load into that particular server, it won't let you. Now remember, there isn't just one Chicago server. There is multiple Chicago servers. As there are for most games, there's multiple servers in a location. So if you come over here and you click Chicago and you click deny, and it goes on your allow and deny list, which we'll look at here in a minute, it may have a different name then another server. So it says Chicago here, but there's no like Chicago 1, Chicago 2, Chicago 3, Chicago 4. So that you have more visual evidence of what's going on until you go to the allow deny. Because I know this is actually a good server for me, actually I'm going to allow it. So let's click allow. And when we do that, you're going to see I have one allowed server, and that would work the same way if I were to deny it, say one denied server. If we click on allow deny, and we get more information. Chicago 1, because it's the first one I've put here. But now we see that it's Illinois 12991Q4P, right? And we get that added information of the server ID. So there's multiple servers at a location. You may have to deny Chicago multiple times, at least in this particular example. So if you denied something and then you think it's connecting back to it, take a look at your server ID, and if they're the same, then it's a problem with the NetDuma cloud, and you need to let them know. If it's not the same, then it's just multiple servers in a location. Keep denying them, and eventually you'll make it through. Whew. All right, so we went through allowing and denying servers. This also works with games where it's peer-to-peer. If you're connecting to somebody and they have a terrible connection, you're playing a fighting game that's just peer-to-peer, doesn't have servers or whatever, you can deny that person, come back in here, name them if you want to, and they're denied. Once that match is over, you will no longer connect to them. The next thing we need to look at is the 3-dot drop-down menu in the top right-hand corner. We click that and we hit settings. We have some more settings we can get into. So we have geo latency, which is recommended. Reduce the risk of being disconnected from the game by using a latency-based filtering method. Keep this on. This makes sure that when you're playing your favorite game and you have a server that you want to play on, that it doesn't force you into another server. This can sometimes happen with some games, and keeping this on will prevent that. Below that, we have Ping Assist. Ping Assist is a great feature. It allows you to get servers and/or peers outside of the radius you have set, whether it's polygon or simple radius. You can come in here and say, okay, well, I happen to know that I have this set, but there's a server, let's say it's Washington, and it's actually got a pretty low ping. And I actually want to be able to connect that so that when these other servers are busy, or I'm just having a long wait period trying to connect to my favorite game, I want to have these other options. So we could say, okay, I'm going to raise this to like 25 milliseconds. And now anything outside of the radius I have set, whether you're using simple or custom radiuses, will allow anything from 0 to 25 milliseconds. What's really neat is you can also adjust this bottom number, so you can say, well, I know I don't have 0 ping. Nobody has 0 ping, I guess, unless it's, I don't know what kind of internet that is, but my ping sits about 10. So, anything from 10 to 25 milliseconds outside of the radius I have set, I can connect to. This will give you more games to connect to overall. I don't like using this though. And what I like to do is actually kind of learn the game by playing it with the geofilter off for a while, and then using my knowledge of the ping heat map and the game itself to draw my mode, and then just block everything else outside. But this is going to be one of those things for each individual person and the games they play. They may want to adjust ping assist differently. Below that, we have our distances, kilometers, kilometers, and miles. And then we have strict mode. This guarantees that servers outside of your filter will always be blocked. We want to keep this on. This is minus the ping assist. So if we have ping assist set to anything, and that is available outside of this, it will connect to that. And then fast search, which is automatically off, and I suggest you keep it off. It'll just make things even faster when searching, but you can connect to stuff outside. It's not what you want. All right, so we've got all of those settings down. The one last thing I want to talk about is swing all the way back around to steady ping. Click on it. You can see that we have steady ping. We can turn it on or off. And then we have expert and simple mode. I keep mine on simple mode as it's simple. You don't have to mess with it. You can see that simple mode will add a ping buffer to reduce lag spikes and improve gameplay, while your ping it will increase slightly. Your game will feel more reliable and responsive, as I explained earlier. When we come over to expert mode, we can When your ping falls below your target ping, we will raise it artificially to keep your connection perfectly stable. Try a number slightly above your usual average ping. So let's go back. My usual average ping is sitting around the 20 millisecond range here in Chicago, 20, maybe 30 milliseconds. So what we'll do is we'll come over to study ping. And this is where it's going to take knowledge of the games you play and stuff, and then we'll adjust that to 30 milliseconds. I'm not going to do that. I do not like using the expert mode. Let's go back to simple. If you see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's this cool little thing that says stats. Let's give that a click. While we're loaded into a game, it's going to give you more stats about how steady ping is working and what it's doing. It's going to show you the IP address, the port number, the destination port, the tick rate, the delay, and all this other information, which is great if you want more information about what's going on with steady ping and what it's trying to do. So again, my suggestion here is just to keep it on simple. This is why I didn't mention it earlier when I was going through everything with steady ping, is because expert mode just adds a bit of tinkering and tedium that I don't prefer. Steady ping works, again, really, really well once you've adjusted your ping optimizer to help absorb those spikes if they're raising that top bar. All right, everybody, that's it. It was a long one. There's a lot to go over when it comes to the Geofilter, but once you learn how to use it, it is one of the best tools in your gaming arsenal, and you will fall in love with using it. Trust me, I know I did. It took a little bit because you're staring at your phone sometimes, you're trying to figure all this out, but once you do and you find the best servers, you get everything set up, it makes that gameplay experience so much better. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, leave them down below, and until the next time, as always, take it easy.